Hello friends, my name is Ichigunya and this is our project Death on a Paper. So happy to see you guys again here for another YouTube video. I've been really enjoying making these as of recent. That's why I'm here with another upload relatively quick after the first one. I hope you're enjoying what I'm making right now. Today's piece is a very interesting one, and I thought about talking about the specific topic that this illustration is about. Just like I mentioned in the last video, that's sort of the direction that I want to take making YouTube content in, and so the materials that I'm using for this speed paint are once again my trusted Ecoline brush pen markers, the ones that I am using right now for a variety of like lighter tones, mainly skin tones and the like. And then I'll be using some of my Faber-Castell India ink markers once again that I use for more like deeper tones and like smaller details. Then I'm also using two various sets of ohuhu materials. Like I'm using the same set of acrylic markers that I was using in the last video, the Nahuku acrylic markers, and then I'm also using the what was the name of those markers? No, they're not markers, fuck. The coloring pencils that I got from Ohuhu a while ago. I also made a speed paint using those specific coloring pencils a while ago on Instagram. So I got them from Ohuhu for free. And I'll be using them as well here. So yeah, and also drinking Red Bull because that's how I keep myself alive at this point. Yeah. So cheers to that, I guess. But yeah, so there's a variety of markers and other pencils that I'm using for this piece, because I wanted to make it very colorful and sort of bright, and utilizing the materials that I got from Ohuhu for free, because I mean, don't we all love free stuff? I know I do, especially because I'm poor as hell. So yeah, financial struggles have been a big thing for me and my girlfriend as of recent. I have made several posts about that on Instagram, as you probably have noticed, and so poverty is real. I hate systemic oppression of disabled and chronically ill people, even in a country like Finland, because that's the sort of government that we have in office right now, which is great. It's awesome. So yeah, I got these materials, these art supplies from Ohuhu for free, so I'll be using them a lot in my videos. So I hope you like seeing me use them. I've enjoyed both of them quite a lot. But yeah, so today's video, I wanted to talk about the specific topic that this illustration is about, because it's a very timely one for me. It's something that I've been thinking about quite a lot as of recent, because while I've been going to treatment, some kind of treatment, mainly just conversation therapy with my psychiatric nurse. So that's sort of the things that I've been doing. There's not a lot of stuff going on with treatment for me, unfortunately, as of right now. I'm hoping to be able to start trauma therapy toward the end of this year, but we'll see where that goes. But yeah, anyway, so with my nurse, we've talked a lot about these things, these topics that this illustration is about, because it's something that has been at the back of my mind for a very, very long time, and it's something that I find myself going back to in a lot of ways. So as you can see here, the message of this illustration is whatever you do it for little you. And this illustration is a depiction of a scrapbook or a diary, journal, photograph album, whatever you want to call it, and it has a variety of photographs of the kid, and the years that I have chosen for these photographs of the kid have been 2011 and 2012, because those were the worst years for me in terms of my childhood trauma. And that's why I go back to them time and time again in my art and in my content. You see those years reappear time and time again in my illustrations and in my content, whatever I do. And so since being diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in 2022 and various other chronic illnesses and disabilities, mainly dissociative disorder otherwise specified and fibromyalgia, my life has changed quite a bit. Somebody asked me in my April monthly Q&A on Instagram stories why I didn't finish my university studies. Because I have briefly mentioned that in several instances, both on Instagram and otherwise, and the reason for that is because of, well, gestures broadly at everything that's happened to me. But yeah, it's really just the result of my unresolved childhood trauma that never got addressed while it was taking place, and then the medical neglect that I went through as a teenager, trying to address that trauma and trying to make some kind of amends with it, trying to get any type of treatment that I could have potentially received back then as a teenager, and I just didn't get that. I didn't get any of that sort of thing because all of the medical professionals that I was working with at the time were completely convinced that bullying is not even trauma to begin with. So yeah, I experienced a lot of medical neglect and medical abuse as a teenager, trying to help myself because I was feeling very, very bad even back then. Back then, the biggest mental health problems that I had as a teenager were panic attacks. I should have been diagnosed with panic disorder, to be honest with you. It was just so overwhelming for me, and I had several panic attacks a day in school, and it was just awful. So yeah, because of all of that, because of the over a decade's worth of constant abuse at the hands of my peers, and then the chronic medical neglect that I experienced as a teenager, and then on top of all of that, everything that sort of went south for me in terms of my university studies. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm as sick as I am, and that's why I had to sort of leave that former life of mine behind me. What I mean by that is I had planned to become a teacher. That was what I wanted to do with my life. I did have some experiences with working as a teacher when I was studying at the university, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed working as a teacher far more than studying itself, and that's what I genuinely wanted to do with my life. But I had to leave that part of my life, part of myself behind, because I just got way too sick. And because of the nature of my trauma, I am never going to be able to enter the world of education, the field of education, as a teacher and actually work there on a daily basis, because the environment itself is just so overwhelmingly triggering for me for quite obvious reasons right now. But yeah, that's what I really wanted to do. But little me had different sorts of plans. Little me had plans of becoming an artist. Little me had the love, the burning love and desire for anime manga, for Japanese popular culture. That was everything that little me lived for. It was what that little child breathed and consumed, and how that child spent all of their time like just, while they were awake. It was my form of escapism. It was everything that I loved and more. I found my love and passion for illustration through animanga. So that was everything that little me wanted. Little me wanted to wanted to make cosplays. Little me wanted to become an artist that could provide for themselves as an adult, as an artist, doing what they love the most, which is drawing. And little me wanted to be a part of communities, the animanga community, cosplay community, and attend conventions, and like that's what I wanted to do. But trauma sort of just took a lot of that away from me, and it directed me into a direction that I didn't necessarily even want. I'm not totally sure if that's 100% true, in the sense that whether or not I actually ever did want that for myself, like the world of academia and the world of education and all of that kind of stuff. I do genuinely believe that there was a part of me that really wanted it, because that's also a very, very distinct part of my childhood, growing up as the child of two teachers, two Finnish and literature teachers to be specific, and that's what I went to study at uni. So I do believe that there was a part of me that really did genuinely want that, but it wasn't the initial plan that I had for myself as a kid. I had planned for something else entirely, and then all of the trauma and abuse that I went through sort of forced me to bury all of that away. As a teenager, I desperately wanted to get out of everything that has something to do with animanga, and that was a trauma response. That was my way of dealing with all of the shame and guilt that I felt for being a weird ass little weeb, and I wanted to forget that part of myself entirely. So what I ended up doing, not consciously, was that I ended up just distancing myself from that part of myself entirely, and I sort of built a completely new identity for myself based on things that weren't actually really me. Because now as an adult, when I look back on my time as a teenager, especially like my later years of teenagehood, particularly from the age of 16 to 19, I don't recognize that person at all. I don't see myself in that person in the slightest. It's a really jarring feeling. I hope you guys haven't experienced anything like that, because it's just like you look back on all of these old pictures of yourself and you're just hit with this sense of like, that's not me. Who the fuck is that person? Why is that person in my camera roll? Why have I taken so many pictures of this person? I know they sort of look like me, but they're not me. And that's what trauma can do to you. It can just sort of completely destroy your sense of identity, your sense of like selfhood, and it can change the trajectory of your entire life, just like that. And that's definitely what happened to me. I lost a lot of what that little child actually wanted to do. I lost the spark that they had, and I lost that sense of like zest for life. And it's really sad to think about that, and I do get kind of emotional when I think about it, because that little child went through so much, and somehow by some miracle they still had that like excitement and love for being alive, and for experiencing new things, learning new things, and interacting with their interest, with what they enjoyed the most in this world. They had all of that, even after going through everything that they went through, and it's quite remarkable. But also it's very sad because none of that should have ever happened. But it did, and that's why I'm here now. No matter who we are, no matter what we have gone through in our lives, we all have that inner child. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard of this concept in psychology, and that inner child is always there. It doesn't matter whether or not you have gone through anything traumatic in your life, whether or not your childhood was traumatic, like unsafe or unstable, or if it was filled with joy and wonder, and if it was like safe and with no sense of trauma. We all have that inner child. But for those of us who have gone through some type of childhood trauma, a lot of that inner child business is really about healing that child. It's about letting that child exist and like find solace, find comfort, and find safety, even when you are an adult. You have to sort of learn how to be able to nurture that little kid in you in a way that those who were supposed to protect you as a child, like, they didn't. You have to sort of like become another parent for that child, if that makes sense, because you truly can't heal from all of the trauma and abuse if that child doesn't heal. And that's sort of what I have discovered, especially in the last like year or two. I've really discovered how important it is to cater to that child, to make sure that little kid is safe, happy, and taken care of, and nurtured, and loved, especially loved. You have to love that child more than anybody else has ever loved that child. And it can be very difficult because a lot of us trauma victims also feel a sense of resentment, like that sense of, I hate what I had to go through because of the way that you were talking about that little child. And I know that I've felt that way for the longest time, and especially as a teenager I did feel that way. And that's why I took that distance to everything that little kid loved doing and wanted to do, and all of their dreams and hopes. I took a lot of distance to all of that because of that resentment that I felt towards that little kid, even though there really was no reason to feel that way, you know, because it's never the fault of the victim of any type of abuse or trauma, and especially when they are a child. A child cannot do anything that would justify that kind of treatment, whatever it is, whether it be from your parents, from your siblings, from your other like family members, relatives, whether it be from your peers, from your teachers, from your sport coaches, from your teammates, whatever it is. Like, there's nothing that a child like that could ever do to justify that kind of abuse and trauma. And that's something that you sort of just have to learn to accept, and learn how to channel and treat that little kid in you with that sort of mentality, instead of blaming them for everything that you had to go through. Because the fact of the matter is that whatever it is that happened to you, it was never your fault. It was never your fault. It was never the fault of that little kid who was just an innocent little child. And that can be really difficult for a trauma victim to conceptualize and accept and live by, because of the insane guilt and shame that we feel for being traumatized in the first place. I would like to think that I have gone a lot forward with this process during the past few years, because I don't really feel all that much resentment toward the kid anymore. I used to. I used to really despise her. I used to really like hate everything that she was, everything that she loved. But I feel like I've gone forward with that. And nowadays I spend a lot of my time like nurturing that child, and that's what this piece is about. Whatever it is that you do with your life, whatever it is that you want to pursue in your life, and all of the values that you have, your hopes and dreams and your goals that you want to achieve, whatever it is, do it for that little kid in you. Because especially when you are a victim of childhood trauma, that child deserves every good thing that comes their way. And that's sort of how I've chosen to live my life by right now, because the kid didn't get nearly as much love and affection and particularly like safety and belonging that she should have. She was deprived of so much good, she was deprived of so much love. And now I've realized that I have to be the one to love that child more than anybody else has. And I feel like it has given me a lot of like new sense of hope and purpose in a weird way. Because the more that I love that child, the more that I can feel parts of myself healing. Because a lot of the hurt that I still go through on a daily basis, it comes back to the hurt that little kid went through. That's what leads to illnesses and disorders like borderline personality disorder, because the intense emotional pain, the psychological pain and torture that you go through when you have BPD is the way that it is, because those are the feelings, those are the unaddressed feelings of that little child who was never given the room and the time to express that hurt, who was never heard in what they had gone through, who was never validated in their hurt when they were constantly being abused by everyone around them. That's why it hurts as much as it does. If you have BPD, that's you know exactly what I'm talking about, like that intense sense of just like that your heart is breaking into a million billion pieces. And it's so incredibly difficult to even express that and explain that to someone who hasn't gone through it. So I would like to know in the comments, do you have borderline personality disorder? Have you been diagnosed with BPD as well? And if you have, what are your experiences with that illness? For me, BPD is still like my main diagnosis. But I feel like since my girlfriend moved in with me, a lot of my BPD symptoms have gotten a lot easier, and that's been lovely to witness, because BPD really used to completely dictate my life. There was a time, especially in 2022 when I was first diagnosed, when like every waking moment was just like one of immense and like excruciating pain. But I don't really have to deal with that all that much anymore, which I'm very, very happy about, because that pain itself has been one of the main motivators for me to think about killing myself, thinking about ending it all, because it's just truly so unbearable. So if you have experiences with that, if you also live with BPD, I would love to know your experiences in the comments. And if you do talk about any like triggering topics, I would appreciate any type of trigger warnings if you're okay with that, because I do want to keep this space as, as safe as possible, even though the things that we talk about here are very, very touchy and very very serious. So yeah. Of course, that's not to say that I still don't experience that sense of hopelessness. At times I do on a daily basis, I would like to say, but it's gotten a lot more bearable. I can live with it a lot better right now, so that's great. But whenever I do get back into that mindset where everything just feels pointless and everything just feels like it's crumbling all around me, and how my life will never be like worth living ever again, I go back to thinking about that little child, and this almost mantra that I've had for the past year, of whatever you do it for a little you, has really like taken me very far. And that's why I wanted to share it with you in the form of this illustration, because I feel like we could all learn a lot from that. Sorry about the cuts, by the way, in this video. My phone died in the middle of filming this, so yay, that was great. So there's bits and pieces, of like missed footage. So sorry about that. I'm doing this whole YouTube thing on a very, very tiny budget as of right now, because like I said previously, me and my girlfriend are struggling immensely with money. So yeah, I am filming on my fucking iPhone. I do have a proper microphone though, so that's great. But yeah, editing software is very bare bones, and yeah, but I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best. But yeah, I've been enjoying making these videos so far, so we'll see when the next one comes out. But yeah, anyways, what are your thoughts on this illustration? What are your thoughts on the topic of discussion of today's video? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Please do keep that conversation going. And yeah, if you feel like sharing anything deeply personal, feel free to do so. But again, trigger warnings would be appreciated for the safety and well-being of all of us involved here. Yeah, it felt really cathartic and also just relaxing to work on this piece. I love pastel colors. I love pastel shades. They bring me a lot of comfort because of the way that they remind me of things from my childhood, those positive moments and those glimmers of hope that I did experience, especially in regards to my interest, like anime, cosplay, and kitties. I love babies. I love fur babies. That's why Mew is here. So yeah, when I was a little kid, me and my mom, we had a fur baby. So yeah, that's Mew is representing that fur baby that we had back then. So yeah. To sort of end things here, I do want to say that I've been feeling a bit more depressed recently. Nothing like all too bad, but still something that's like definitely noticeable for me. So that's an explanation for my more monotone voice, and also because I'm Finnish, like Finnish people just sound monotone because that's the way that our language is. It's very monotone with no rising intonation. So that's a combination of my depression and my Finnishness, I guess. So you're welcome. But yeah, the spring is here, and the spring and summer, they are my worst seasons of the year. I hate them because my depression gets so much worse. So that's probably gonna be a more reoccurring topic. So yay, that's awesome. And also financial stress. But yeah, that's about it. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me for another video. I hope you enjoyed your time over here. I enjoyed chatting with you guys once again. And yeah, just like previously, this video was also unscripted. I did have like these topics in mind, but I didn't write anything down, so So yeah, let me know how that feels for you this time around. And any other feedback that you want to give me on these videos, please do, because I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to YouTube. I'm just sort of fucking around and finding out, I guess. But yeah, and also please go ahead and check the links in the caption, in the description, because there's a link to me and my girlfriend's GoFundMe page. We would really appreciate any type of financial help that you give us because of the situation that we're in monetarily as of right now. Hopefully things will get better soon. That would be great. Anyways, thanks once again for taking the time to spend some time with me here watching this video. My name is Ijgunya, and this has been our project Death on Paper.